banking application presentation. This is Malini Radhakrishnan. In part 1, we'll look at front-end architecture, authentication, and application diagram. This is the application overview diagram where we have the middle tier, backend, and the front-end layers. On the browser side, we have HTML, Bootstrap, and JavaScript. And we are using Firebase password authentication and Google Auth provider for authentication logic. The components are exposed by using the React hash router framework. We look at component architecture in the next slide. Fetch API is used to access the APIs that are the Express APIs. The JWT authentication middleware is used to authenticate the APIs. Swagger is used to document the API logic. In addition, CORS and cookie parser are used for additional validation, and dot environment is used for the environment setup in the during the deployment. The data access layer is used to separate the database operations away from the API logic, API function logic, and the data access layer interacts with the MongoDB database. This is the component architecture, and we'll also talk about the design decisions in this. The context.js is used to set up the user context. The index.html brings together all this logic together in one file. In the index.js, we are defining the hash router, and navbar.js has the navigation component. These three components are for user account creation, login, and logout. For the Firebase setup, configurations are created in this file. Based on the user logged in or logged out state, there are some UI updates that need to be made. For example, showing the user email ID when they are logged in. Those updates are made in the UI update file. Deposit and withdrawal are used for depositing the money or withdrawing from the user account. Balance will show the user balance. All data and the manage user are admin pages, which are accessible only by users with admin access. Once the user is logged in, the user information is set up in the shared context, which is then used to access these other pages and also determine whether the user has admin access or not. For authentication, we are using the Firebase authentication and Google authentication provider. Why this was used is to ensure the password is not stored in the backing application backend and for further security. In addition, all the transaction APIs are protected by JWT authentication middleware. This would ensure the APIs are not accessible by anonymous users, as banking application holds sensitive data. In addition, only a specific user will be able to update their specific data by using the APIs. Challenges I faced are because we are using both password-based and Google authentication provider. A user can use the same Gmail ID for both the create account and the Google login. To fix that issue, what I did was I added an auth type in the backend. So if the user uses the create account page and creates a user account, it uses the password-based authentication in the backend, and that sets the user auth type as PWD. Once they are set up like this, they can log in using the login button. However, if the user uses the Google login method, then in the backend, the auth type is created as external, and the user record will be created in the application accordingly. This will ensure the user can have two different accounts, whether they use the normal login or the Google login method. Next, we'll look in part 2. Thank you. Bye.